Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are watching us from. I am Azuka Uzo Oye. Today, we are going to look at Simon Ekpa's interview yesterday. A lot of people have been calling me saying, you usually talk about some of Simon Ekpa's broadcast lately, and we expect you to talk about this. I would have just, uploaded the video, but due to certain rules that apply to the platforms that we use, I decide to hint on that. So I will try my best and analyze the video as we go. Yes, Simon Ekpa had an interview that it is a wave-making interview, and it concerns what Nigeria is going to do on Saturday. That is the general election, and I will decide the fate of Nigeria forward. And some of us are aware Simon Ekpa, heading the autopilot, says there will be no election in Southeast. In fact, there's a sit at home that has been declared, which will run through the election day. And that is also to say there will be no vote cast in Southeast, that there will be a sit at home. And this is a group that has been able to maintain a Monday sit at home in Southeast to protest the continuous detention of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. So this interview is based on his recent actions regards the election, and I think it's also necessary I share this video and we analyze it. Now let's go. I will play and pause and talk about it as we go.
Simon, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
So much is riding on this election, especially for young people in Nigeria. They're desperate for change, is my view. Why are you so determined to undermine democracy?
I think undermining democracy is not the right word. Rather, promoting democracy. You give the people a choice. And the choice of the Biafra people is a referendum. It is also a democratic process. So that is not undermining a democracy. More accepted democratic process is when you give the people choice to decide their fate.
But they have a choice. This is an election.
Let's talk about this one first. The interviewer, who we are not seeing, was telling him that by declaring a sit at home on the election day, he's trying to undermine democracy. And Simon Ekpa said he's not trying to undermine democracy. That if Nigeria want to really follow true democratic steps or principle, people should be allowed to. You don't force people into a country at the first place, and then you say democracy. And if you want to really practice democracy based on what he just said, referendum is also a democratic way. Yeah. If a particular people says they are not okay with this particular, and you see a great number of them saying, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. I think the best way it's done is not to suppress them with weapons while you still claim you are in a democratic country. The best way is let such election, okay, we call it plebiscite. Nigeria is organizing, they're going to have an election this Saturday, 25th of February 2023. Let such be conducted amongst those people that says they want to quit, that they are tired of this, of the union. Because at the first place, I don't know the type of consultation that was done to bring about this union. So what he's saying is, if they want to truly practice democracy as it is, it should start with organizing. This mass number of people in a certain area are demanding freedom. So democracy also includes a plebiscite. Yes, organizing a referendum. stay or leave Nigeria, vote, and it's also voting process. That's what it's saying. So they ask him, are you trying to undermine this democracy? And he says no, that he's trying to like make it more presentable, do it in a more presentable way. After all, elections are always conducted where the people agrees that we are part of this country. So let's go.
Which will be following democratic.
In Nigeria, Biafran people do not have a choice. And that is a historical problem created by the Britain. So everybody, as you have been a journalist with your experience and the history of Nigeria, you agree with me that Nigeria is a mistake because of the tribal and dangerous diversity in Nigeria, which is also a destructive diversity. So when you give the people the choice to choose how they want to live, that is a true democracy. A democracy is not when you bring in the military and invade communities, burn the communities because people are protesting. You kill them. Is that democracy? Do you do that in the United Kingdom? The answer is no.
So did you hear that? Nigeria is not truly democratic, he's trying to say. And that takes us to how did Nigeria came to be? Were people, the ethnicities that make up Nigeria, were they consulted to form Nigeria? Remember, Nigeria only had independence in 1960. That was not when it was created. It was created in 1914. The amalgamation. So who were those consulted? Or like we said in our other video, it's like, British interests merged together. That was what we got to know. Or if you know something that I don't know, tell us. It was British interests merged together. Business interests, north and south. Linking them up, they had to. And that is what he's saying here. It was properly British interests matched together. And before you know it, some people said a certain amount were paid. I don't know who the money was paid to. And the worst of it all, like he said, the people that made up Nigeria do not agree with themselves. There are so much diversities in religion, in several things, cultural diversities. It's like a concussion that refuses to mix. You know what concussion is? Or you want to sew an old cloth together with a new one, a new lining, you realize that it continued to tear. And if you look at it properly, Nigeria does not really mix well. If it does, it's at the expense of certain people. And that is why a lot of people are asking, we want out of this union. And we are merged against our interests. Not because you are merging them, for it to work for them, for it to benefit them, but for it to benefit you who did the merging. Nigeria was joined to favor British people. It was joined as business interests. Now they don't care. That is why Milo keep asking, will Britain merge with Somalia or Turkey and they become one country because they are near against their interests of the various constituents of that country? Okay, why did Britain leave European Union? But they want people whose interests are very different, who do not relate. Just the only thing that connects us is that the distance, we are close by, and nothing else. So according to him, we were merged against our interests. Let's listen further. I'll continue to analyze till we run through this video.
What about your role in all this? Your tweets.
My role.
Wait a minute. Your role in all this. Your tweets and your social media. Why the need for violence?
It is. Yeah.
At least 1,500 people died in the last 3 presidential election campaigns.
Was it my fault then?
And there have been deaths so far in this one too.
That's what we want to correct by making sure we do not continue to validate an evil entity that subject their citizens to death. So the only solution to this is to disintegrate this evil entity and allow people to make their choice so that they can develop and, practice politics in the best way possible, just like the Europeans here.
So are you justifying the violence that comes from the kind of stuff that you...
It is not, the violence is not about what I do. It is the provocation of the policy of Nigeria. Okay? So it is a long time bomb coming. So what you see happening now, Nigeria have a history of violence from the beginning of Nigeria. After independence, every election in Nigeria has witnessed violence. So it is not about me. I am here as a good guy to put an end, to have a lasting solution to the violence.
So the white guy, the interviewer asked him, why is he instigating violence in Nigeria? And here is, okay, let me explain Simon Ekpa's reply, even though you've had it. He said, this is bound to come. When you join things that are not meant to be merged together, you're bound to get some negative results. So according to him, what is happening now has been destined to come simply because there's what Igbo calls milisinisi. You understand? So according to Simon Ekpa, what is happening in Nigeria is something that has been brought about from the inception of Nigeria. It's a problem that has been created since ages, waiting to happen. So he's trying to say he's not the cause. Let's ride on.
But do you not accept that some of the things that you say has engendered this kind of...
From your own perspective, you can translate it and interpret it however you want. But from my own perspective, I think I am the good guy trying to teach the people that they have a right.
So there's no blood on your hands?
There is no blood on my hand. There are more blood on those supporting the election, supporting this particular coming election. They have more blood in their hand. In Imo State, you have a governor that have invaded his own state, killed people. And why are you people not talking about that? Those are the people that have blood in their hand. All the people that have been elected in Nigeria since 1960 all have had bloods in their hand, and nobody is asking the question. I am just the good guy who say enough is enough. Somebody have to say something, and somebody have to do something, and we're doing it.
But couldn't you make more progress if you were in the tent, as it were, not rather than out of the tent?
You can't.
In another country.
Sorry?
You're in Finland.
Yes.
So wouldn't it be better if you went back home and did the political thing there?
You should. No. You see, I learn from what happened to others. I don't want to put my life in danger because the country, as far as I'm concerned, does not exist. Any country that does not respect the rule of law does not exist.
You're scared you might be killed?
Not everybody, you know that. You can say that as well. Yes.
There's a bounty on
because yes, there's a bounty on my head because Nigeria, because of the Islamic agenda in Nigeria. Whoever that rises up to say something that will, make the life of the people to be better, they want to kill the person. They assassinate people every day. And today you see that there is a video that has been released by a man called Ikenga Imo, when an assassin invaded his house and they wanted to kill him. They are police officers. But if there is no CCTV, they will say unknown gunmen. These are the people that are causing all this crisis in Biafra land. But without that video, everybody has concluded that they are unknown gunmen. Today we have known them. What are the government doing about it? What are the international community doing about it? Every evidences that have surfaced anywhere about CCTV camera, it has always been security agent from the Nigeria state. Nobody is talking about that. That is what we are fighting against. We are defending ourselves, and we have armed ourselves to fight Nigeria to the last day. We have done it before. The only difference now is that today we have social media. If social media was there in the 1960s, somebody will do what I'm doing today. In those days, we have a man called Okokondem. Okokondem was broadcasting for Radio Biafra and was propagating Biafra stuff, but because there were no social media, so he would have done even what I'm doing today, I believe so. So this is what it makes a difference. And my activities on social media is educating the people, telling them they are right, that you have a right to say no, and you have the right to say yes.
Who's funding you and your organisation?
Biafra people are funding my organization.
Not the Tinubu party.
I have nothing to do with Tinubu. And you know, it's very funny. A lot of people said Tinubu paid me 25 million. How is that possible? How is it possible?
You're denying he
did. I don't know who is Tinubu. I have never communicated with anybody close to him. Just like the way they forged the letter. The reason why this letter issue, Nigeria is a criminal country. They breed criminals, and that's what we're fighting against. The reason why the letter on gets sorted out easily and fast was because it was against Finland, and Finland have to officially react to the letter, and the letter went viral. There are so many lies against me out there on social media. Nobody could come and say it is not true. Okay, so and those lies, when they continue to say it and maintain it, it becomes truth when nobody debunk it.
You talk about criminals. Do you think the candidates for the presidency are criminals?
They are all criminals, yes. All of them.
Even Peter Obi.
Peter Obi is a criminal.
But he's a southerner, isn't he?
He doesn't. I am not a tribal. Listen, I'm not a tribalist. I'm not a tribalist, and that is what makes us different. We want. If I'm criticizing you, I criticize you with fact and figures. I'm going to tell you how all of them are. Do I explain? One, starting from Atiku. Atiku was indicted in the United States for money laundering. He's a criminal. How do you think if Nigeria is a United States, Atiku will come back and start contesting with the criminal record he has had for money laundering? Tinubu was indicted in the United States for drug pushing. The records are there, so it's criminal. Nigeria is being ruled by criminals, and they breed criminals. Peter Obi his name was in Pandora. He didn't deny it. It's also the part of international money laundering crime. He has $15 million in offshore accounts.
But surely Obi, being a southerner, is on the side of your people.
That is the problem. Why must you have somebody that have to be in the side of my people? That is the dangerous diversity that have brought us this far, because it will never work. Everything about Nigeria is what favors my people. We want a Biafra where everything favors everybody. But when you have Nigeria, it is either Fulani. Now we don't even have Hausa anymore, because Fulani have overshadowed them. So it is either you are fighting for Northerner as a Fulani Muslim, or you are fighting for Yorubas, or you are fighting for Igbo people. So how can you continue in that kind of system? This is why we must make sure that we do not validate Nigeria again. So.
What's your relationship with Mr. Kanu at the moment?
Kanu is the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, and I regard him as my leader.
Do you talk? Do you have contact with him?
Well, we communicate somehow, but that's a confidential issue.
Because you see, he's disavowed violence. He thinks he's made statements to say that
everybody condemn violence. I condemn violence.
Okay.
I've always condemned violence. On social media, maybe you don't follow that. But where is the violence coming? Who are those committing the violence? They're the Nigeria state. And their intention is to use violence to blackmail what we're doing. And of course, you do not expect people who are Nigerians who are angry, who have lost hope. And the next thing you see from them is when you are hopeless, you become violent. So what is happening now is not caused by anybody. It is caused by the system itself. And until we begin to understand that the violence happening in Nigeria is being generated by the Nigeria system itself, we will never be telling ourselves the truth.
Are you going to rein in your rhetoric a little bit now? Because
How?
We're in the election period. Your people hang on to your words, and it can cause some violence, can't it?
Well, I don't care. You know, we are already at war. In Biafra side of Nigeria, there is a war going on there, and I don't know why medias are not covering it. Do you see a democratic place where the plane will be throwing bombs to the people? It's war. The villages are getting burnt, houses are getting burnt. Even in Ukraine, where you're going to now, the number of people dying in Biafra land outnumber the people dying in Ukraine. So how do you balance that? And who are doing this? The Nigeria themselves, the Nigeria state. You know, when the military comes to the village, instead of protecting the people, they get angry because they obey our orders and then they start burning their villages. So we don't want to continue like that. We want to have, the only solution to this is the disintegration of Nigeria. And if Nigeria do not disintegrate now, the disintegration later on will be very, very, very chaotic. It will be very hard before international community, you know, if they continue to let us manage this and force people into election in Biafra land, when this time bomb is going to explode, it will affect everyone.
One last question.
Yeah.
Who's going to win the election?
Election is not happening in Biafra land.
Because you don't want people to vote?
Not me. Biafra have decided. I am telling you the fact. There is nothing that will make Biafran's people to go out and vote. This is a life and death matter. We have come a long way. For over 50 years, Nigeria have done all manner of genocide, committed genocide against our people, kill us every day, and you expect us to allow them to continue to kill us, to elect governors that will bring military and you know, militarize our territory? We can't do that again.
That's 11 million votes, isn't it?
Nobody will vote in Biafra land. I am telling you the fact. It will shock the world. We've made up our mind and we know what we have on ground. Nobody will vote in Biafra land.
Even if that undermines the rest of the...
It is not undermining, no. This particular civil disobedience is also a democratic process, and I want you to see it in that perspective. When people say, I don't want, it is their choice. And if you think that there are people who want to vote, that are bigger in number, conduct a referendum. As simple as that. For now, we control 90% of Biafra people. 90%.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Well, you have seen that. That was Simon Ekpa. It's a classic one. Wow. Everything is centered on Biafra having their own freedom and him doing what it takes for Biafra to live. And let's touch on a few points and we'll go. I decided to play it for that long so that you will hear everything. So you will not say I occasionally stop the interview. Now let's talk about it. Concerning the election, Simon Ekpa still insists that there will be no election in Biafra land, that he has certain things set up on ground, that it can never happen. And according to him, 90% of people who occupy the space called Southeast for now, according to him, are not going to vote. Now he says, he told the interviewer that if you want to doubt it, conduct a referendum to know how many people are with the agreement that the election must not hold. So according to Simon Ekpa too, he said he's the good guy in this thing. You know, when he was asked that he's inciting violence in Saudis, he's trying to say he is the good guy actually by stopping election. That is this continuous validation of election in especially Southeast, where all sort of things happen. That he's trying to even help. That we are already at war. Yes, and he cited several reasons he said we are already at war. A case whereby helicopter or plane drops bombs, that is a war situation, according to him. Now, another instance, there's a video that was circulating in Nigeria, a soldier holding RFMG, rapid fire machine gun, and he just opened fire. He was just holding the gun. That means innocent people in their homes will be affected. That is what he's trying to say. Can you imagine? You know how RFMG works? This guy held it, and anything he faced, can you imagine? I thought our soldiers are trained on how to use weapons, except in a war situation. Such a thing should not be happening. Somebody holding an RFMG, open fire continuously, he was shooting, and the other guy held the stuff for him while it was ricocheting. So according to him, it's a war situation. We're already in a war situation, and he is only there to ameliorate the situation. That's what he's trying to say. Now, when asked if he will go to Nigeria, just like a lot of people have been saying, Simon Ekpa, come home now, come home. Come and lead this particular thing you are talking about. Come and enforce the citadom. He said he understands how the Nigeria system works. Just like you can protest in Europe. You can protest in Europe. It's not that way in Nigeria. And we have seen it on several occasions where people protest, security operatives go after them. And these people are protesting peacefully. So he said he understands how Nigeria works. He will not risk his life, that even there's a bounty that was been placed on his head. And again, he gave another reason why, which according to him, the Biafrans should stop validating the Nigeria election because of the impunity, especially in Southeast. The case of installing people like Hope Uzodinma against the will of the people. And according to him, he is being used to hound the same people. Ikenga's case, for example. Ikenga exposed Uzodinma's plan to rig Imo election. And the threat against Ikenga was so clear, but what did the security operatives do? They acted as if nothing happened. It's about the third time or so, either the second or third time, that Ikenga has been attacked. His houses burnt, just like houses have been, okay, we can't count the number of times houses have been destroyed in Southeast. And Ikenga house was burnt, people killed. I think maybe his uncle was killed. And we've never had in the news that police is investigating this. The police is looking into this matter. We've never had something like that. So everything goes. So no one is safe. In case of you could be killed and nothing will happen. So he's saying this is not the kind of country we want. We want out of this. So while the interviewer accused him of using social media to influence people, instigate, he said, this is what is available right now. And it's simple. You use what is available at the time. During the Civil War, we had no such. And that is why certain broadcasts could be made against us, lying against us in the international media. So he said, now we have the tools also in our hands. People will get to know the truth. There are certain things that are happening that if not for social media, people will not get to know. That is what he's pointing at. A lot of things are happening, atrocities. And how will the international organization get to know about this? Somebody will have to snap it, somebody will have to record it, then somebody will have to broadcast it. That is what he's trying to say. I'm trying to analyze all he's saying. He also spoke about the letter to Finland as from Nigeria, demanding his, he said it is forged. He said Finland replied him, and concerning that, he said there is no such from Finland, that it was forged. And according to him, he said several lies are going against him. Several lies have been peddled against him. That's, several of them. Now, remember, there is, let me call it an allegation because I've not seen a proof, a real proof. There's an allegation that Tinubu is sponsoring him because Tinubu wouldn't get much vote in the Southeast region. And this is the area he's announcing a sit at home. They said Tinubu has been sponsoring him to, they gave him certain millions of dollars or so to make sure the sit at home is enforced so that people of that region will not vote, so that Tinubu will have an edge over Obi and others. So he's trying to, while being asked what is his reaction on that, he said, I am surprised to even hear this. He said, Tinubu is a criminal that is convicted of drug offense in the United States. He said Atiku is also. He mentioned Obi and the Pandora paper. You know about the Pandora paper. Certain Nigerians were mentioned saving money laundering. That's what he said. Remember, I'm analyzing what he said. So he called all the presidential candidates criminals, and that they are not going to change anything, that it's like a continuation of what has been happening. And imagine Nigeria should continue like this, having people like Ozodema again in Imo State. Oh my God. Then the likes of Ikenga being pursued about, and other people who dare oppose them. Can you imagine? So he said, we cannot continue to validate the present way things are going. So we need a new notion, according to him. And there is one key thing he says. He said, the problem with Nigeria is a systematic problem. The system is in itself bad. It's not something that can be fixed. That's what he says. The problem is with the system. And the cause for restructuring, I'm adding that, each time it is mentioned, each time it comes up, whether in the house or anywhere, it falls on deaf ears. The call for restructuring is a no-go area. I remember the day a senator from Niger Delta was attacked because he made mention of such. So he has given reason why he wants Biafra and why he will not permit that the election continues to hold in Southeast. And I would like you to add if you're not okay with what he said, please object to it, add your comment on the comment section. And he went further to talk about his relationship with Nnamdi Kanu. He said it's been cordial, that Nnamdi Kanu is his leader. And he made a particular statement that they still communicate, but that is not what he would say here. So in wrapping up, Ekpa said he's a good guy, that announcing a sit at home on election day and all the attempts to make sure election did not hold in Southeast is actually a good deed to help us come out of the contraption, the evil, the British setup that is not favoring us, but the British. That is what he's trying to say. Please don't attack me. If you are against what he said, add your comment on the comment section. Tell us why you are opposed to what he said. I am not the one that propounds this. You heard from him. I had to, earlier I was pausing and, but I had to play the whole thing. Viewers, what do you think? Add your comment on the comment section. I remain Azuka OJ, your regular host on this show. Please, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Bye-bye for now.